They say that the video has been announced. They say that the live video has been announced. Let me make sure I get my comment posted here. What's going on, everybody who is checking in? Hope y'all having a good day and a good week and a good start to this new month. Let me make sure I get my pinned comment in here. I got Facebook going as well. So any of you in my Facebook group called Six Figures and Growing, we are live there as well. Got my comment pinned here. That's for my new event, Work on Your Game Live. It's taking place February 3rd and 4th here in Miami, where it's going to be 80 degrees and sunny in the middle of the winter. So any of you who live in a cold climate, if you want an excuse or a reason to come to South Florida in the middle of the winter, there's also a tax write-off. So the government will pay you basically to come learn and invest in yourself. Those of you business professionals, that's your excuse right there. Work on Your Game .live is where you can get your ticket for this event. We're going to get into that. We'll talk about that. We're not going to get into it. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Raquel Rains, what's going on? Good morning. Good afternoon. It's 12 o'clock. Lionel, what's going on? Appreciate you. OGs, you should be at Work on Your Game Live. OGs definitely be at Work on Your Game Live, February 3rd and 4th. So we are almost, what's today, the 3rd? Yeah, exactly 90 days away. Actually, it's probably more than 90 days, but 3 months away. Work on Your Game Live, February. So anyway, today's topic, we're going to be talking about why you need to make more content. And you're not making more content just to make it or just to say that you have it. There's a strategic reason behind creating content. I'm going to talk about 3 reasons behind that strategy of making more content, what it'll actually do for you, what it's going to do for your business, and how it'll help take you to the next level. So as y'all are checking in, you can tell me your name and tell me where you're checking in from. Tell me your location so I know where everybody's at. If you're checking in, if you're listening to this right now, tell me where you are checking in from, like your geographical location. While y'all doing that, introduce myself. For those who don't know me, my name is Dre Baldwin. I'm a former 9-year pro athlete. I'm the author of 33 books, including The Third Day, which you can see is over there. Some of y'all can't see that. Overseas Basketball Blueprint right there. Mental Workbook, which is right over there. And I've done 4 TED Talks. I created this whole brand and framework called Work on Your Game. And what it's all about is taking the tools that an athlete uses to get to the top 1% in sports and translating those tools over to the business world and into everyday life. And at my next event, we're going to be talking about those things: mindset, strategy, systems, and execution at my next event. So any of you who's interested in those things, actually, you got to be more than interested. Interested is not enough. If you're serious about those things, then you should be at Work on Your Game Live in February. Just chill. What's going on? How are you? Marius picked up a second job. Shout out to everybody with a second job. Anwar checking in from Jersey. We got Baltimore in the house. You say you still do the workouts? That's what's up. All right, keep doing the workouts. At the same time, make sure you get down to Work on Your Game Live. That's the workout for your business, for your professional career. So yeah, work on your body and be in shape. And now we're talking about the business stuff as well on top of that. So what I'm going to do here today is I'm going to make the case for everybody. Any of you who is building any kind of business or name or influence on the internet, I'm going to talk about why you should make more content than even what you already have going on. So if you already got a podcast, if you already have what's another thing you can have? If you got an Instagram, which most of you have, if you're posting on it, if you got a Facebook, you got any kind of Facebook group, you got a YouTube channel, any of those things, I'm going to tell you why you should be publishing to those platforms. You need to be publishing more often. And there are 3 reasons why I'm going to tell you to do this. Raquel, thank you for the badge. Raquel, I need to see you at Work on Your Game Live. Get your ticket to that event. And we also got we offer the payment plan for the tickets as well. So if you don't want to pay for the whole ticket up front, we could break it up into a couple payments for anybody if that'll make it easier for you. But we want to make sure we get people in the room. It is very important to be in the room when it comes to these kind of things that we got going on. And 2 full days of me teaching, I guarantee you're going to get at least 10 times your investment in terms of return on investment. All right, I guarantee you that. And it's coming straight from me. I'm teaching everything. So I'm not telling you what somebody else is going to do. I'm telling you what I'm going to do. So anyway, let's get into this topic here of if you're doing business online, why you want to have more content out there. Number 1, when you put content out, the content gives you a chance to be findable and discoverable. This is the number 1 reason why we create content. Number 1 reason anybody puts content out. And content can be putting a post on IG that's a picture with a caption or a reel, or it could be a podcast episode that's 20 minutes, or it could be a YouTube video that's 3 hours long of you having a conversation with somebody. All of that is forms of content. Anything you put out on the internet for free that you want other people to see and engage with is what we call content. And every time you put content out, you're giving yourself a chance to be found and discovered by people who otherwise don't know you, or people who do know you. You give them a chance to go deeper into understanding who you are, what you're about, and understanding that you actually have some value to offer. That's the value of, or that's the point of creating content. So the more of it you create, if it's actually good, if you have quality content, you're giving yourself a chance to get found and discovered by other people who are looking to learn what it is that you have to offer. That's the value of creating content. This is why you should create more of it when it's actually good. All right. So the more that you have, the easier it is for somebody to find you on search if they're looking through a certain app, or maybe find you in a search engine, depending on where you publish your stuff. So if you have videos on YouTube, for example, that makes it easier for you to be found on Google. Or you write articles, it's easier for you to be found through textual searches. If you're on Instagram, maybe you get found through the browse tab, or you'll get found because somebody who follows you shares your post and then somebody else sees it. So that's what putting more quality content out there means. Somebody asks, what makes it quality when it's the same as everyone else? Well, if it's the same as everyone else, then it's not quality. So that's a good question. What makes your content quality is that you're showing people what makes you different. You're differentiating yourself with the material you put out. And the thing is, the first thing you put out might not differentiate you, because you might be saying something that maybe the person who heard you, because understand the same is relative to who's listening to you. So if I never heard person A, B, and C, and then you say something, you're person D, and you say the same thing that they said, but I never heard of person A, B, and C, that is not the same to me. But somebody else who's heard person A, B, and C, to them, what you said is the same. So your audience is not everybody. Your audience is just the people who need to hear what you say from you. And that's another thing that people need to, when you're creating content, you should keep in mind, is that you don't necessarily need to be different from everybody out there. Your material just has to speak to the people who need to hear it from you. Because I might say something that somebody else has said, or somebody else may say something that I've said, but people in my audience want to hear me explain it, where people in that guy's audience want to hear him explain it. So both of us can win, even if we're talking about similar topics in similar ways, because some people want to hear him, some people want to hear me. Some people just like my style, and some people like that person's style, whoever that person happens to be. What's going on? Sima Jinj, if I'm pronouncing your name right. And those of you who are just coming in, make sure you get your tickets to my event. WorkOnYourGame.live is the website. That's February 3rd and 4th here in Miami. I'm talking right now about why you need to be creating more content. So this first point, I'm still on the first point, is the more of it you create, the more chances you give yourself to get seen by people who might not know you, or people who already know you, but you're giving them a chance to go deeper into your world. So somebody who already knows you, that doesn't mean just because they know you that you just stop, giving them value. Once they know you, what you got to do next is you want them to go deeper and deeper into your world. Because if you're running a business, somebody following you on Instagram, I mean, you can't pay your bills because you got followers on Instagram. All right. Eventually, you want to move those people who are following you on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or YouTube. You want to move them to where they can make a bigger investment in what you're offering, and you can give them more value than just what you give them through your YouTube videos or through your Facebook posts. So the first thing is you have to actually have that stuff. And once you have it, then you can offer it to them. So this is a whole process that you go through. I was talking to a couple of people in my university today. One of my group coaching calls, I was talking about this exact thing. How do we move people from what we call the top of the funnel into the middle of the funnel, to lower in the funnel, to the bottom of the funnel, bottom of the funnel, where the money comes out. All right. So this is why one reason why you want to be creating more content. It gives you more chances to be seen. And especially any of you who understands how SEO works, search engines, is that search engines right now with today's technology cannot search through things like videos and pictures. They can't really search videos and pictures that well, or audio. They can't, what do we call it? They can't crawl through it and know what's being said in there, but text they can. But I predict that probably over the next 10 years, that search engines will be able to listen to what is being said in a video, and they'll be able to index that. Index is the word. Index it the same way they index textual material. So you want to make sure you're doing all of this stuff on a consistent basis. Let me see if I can try to keep up with some of these comments here that are coming in. Raquel, you said 1009. What is that referring to? I don't know maybe you were just posting emojis. That's a huge help. I appreciate that. Anwar said, I was trying to figure out how to get my content to stand out. Well, let me finish. I didn't go through all my points yet. So let me keep going, Anwar. Keep listening. Here's the second reason why you want to be creating more content. Those of you who are already creating content or you're thinking about it. Second reason why you want to do it is because the more content you create, it helps you master your voice. This is a very important thing, especially if you're in the consulting space. Now, when I say consulting, here's what I mean. Consulting doesn't just mean you call yourself a consultant. You don't even have to call yourself a consultant. If you do any form of professional speaking, if you have a coaching program, if you sell any kind of courses, if you do one-on-one mentoring, anything where people are paying you for your knowledge and your intellect. People are paying for your what we call intellectual property. Miss Sims, M Sims, what's going on? You coming to work on your game live? To get your ticket right there at that link. Well, you can't click on the link, but just go to workonyourgame.live, get your tickets to that event. Anywhere where you're selling your intellectual property is the consulting industry. All of that's called consulting. All right, so that's what I mean when I say consulting is you're selling your knowledge and information and insights on any subject to other people. That's what we call consulting. If you want to be in a consulting space, the number one skill you need is the ability to communicate. Is communication skills is what helps you sell. That's how you sell it, and that's also how you help people. Because if you can't communicate the value of your offer, then nobody's going to buy anything from you, even if you're really good. And if you can't help people get a result even after they buy from you, then you're going to have a hard time sustaining your business because everybody who buys from you is going to give you bad reviews because you weren't able to help them. So you got to be able to help people. First of all, help them understand that you can help them. That's communication skills. And then actually help them after they decide to buy from you or invest with you. So that is where communication skills come in. What does this have to do with creating content? Is that the more content you create, content is basically like your sandbox. It's basically the place where you can practice getting your message across and helping people understand the value that you can give them. That's what I'm doing. I mean, if you actually pay attention, that's what I'm doing right now. All right, right now, I'm not charging you for this. I'm giving you something that's useful for you, something that you can use if you actually listen to what I'm saying and you apply it. So I'm giving you some value here. At the same time, I'm helping you understand that I know how to explain this stuff. Not only do I know how to do it, I can explain it to you. And at the same time, I'm telling you, I got a way that you can go deeper into my world by getting a ticket to my event called Work on Your Game Live, which is taking place February 3rd and 4th here in Miami, where it's going to be 80 degrees and sunny outside. If you want a reason, an excuse to come to Miami in the middle of the summer, and again, you can write this off on your taxes, the government will pay you for investing in yourself, then this is the reason that you do it. So I'm doing both of these at the exact same time if you pay attention to what I'm doing. And here's the thing with content. It helps you master your voice. That forget about just what you're trying to do right now. If you're trying to make $1 tomorrow, cool. Maybe content will help you do that. I'm talking about the next 10 years. I'm talking about the next 20 or 5 years. Is the more content you create, the better you get at explaining what you know, the better you get at articulating what's in your head, and the better you get at showing your audience that you can help them. And when you're really, really good at that, then you'll be able to create opportunity for yourself anytime you want, just by using your mouth and your ability to articulate. And this is the highest level of communication, is your ability to communicate verbally. It is not what you can do physically with your body. Like my background is in sports. I played basketball and I did my thing being an athlete, but I can get more done and reach more people and create more results through articulation and communication than I can with physical ability. Like physical ability, the challenge is you're going to be in one place at a time. But when you're communicating, talking, you can affect a whole bunch of people at the same time. That's the communication thing. Even if you think about professional sports, what makes professional sports so popular is not that the players are so physically gifted, is the fact that there's a way to communicate their abilities to the whole world at the same time. Usually we call that television or the internet. The reason the internet is because it allows a whole bunch of people to communicate amongst a vast, wide space without ever leaving their homes. That's what makes the internet, is the ability to communicate with anybody, anywhere in the world, damn near instantaneously. And that's the same thing you can do when you get good at explaining what you do, and you can use your mouth and your words to get your point across. So the more content you create, you're basically practicing. It's like going to practice every time that you create content. So for example, myself, when I was playing ball, I used to put out a video every single day. Some of you, I don't know if any of you know me from the basketball days, I used to put out a video every single day. And guess what I got really good at when I was putting out videos every single day? I got really good at explaining what I was doing. So that allowed me to, number one, get seen and heard by more people. And number two, I got really good at explaining how I was doing what I was doing. So when it was time for me to sell stuff, people already knew I could help them. I knew how to do it and already had an audience of people ready because I was putting out material every day. And guess what I do to this day? I haven't played ball in a while. It's been many years since I played ball. I still put out content every single day, but it's not basketball now. Now it's more on the mindset, strategy, systems, execution, business stuff. But I'm still putting out material every day, which allows me to sharpen up my message and allows me to reach more people and continue to build my audience. So question is general, who is the conference most valuable for? The topics I just said: mindset, strategy, systems, and execution. Mindset, strategy, systems, execution. That's what the event is about. If you go to workonyourgame.live, M Sims one, who asked that question, I got a whole bunch of testimonial videos on that page. So you'll see a bunch of people from different industries. As a matter of fact, since you're saying that, let me look it up. I'm gonna look it up on my phone. I'm gonna pull the link up right here on my phone so you can for whatever reason the phone is acting up because somebody just called my phone, but it should be off. Can everybody still hear me? Leave a comment. Let me know y'all can still hear me before I keep talking here. I want to tell you what kind of people we have at these events because M Sims, that's a good question. Who is this event for? I'm gonna answer that question right now. I just want to make sure everybody can hear me before I keep going. Somebody leave a comment. Let me know that y'all can still hear me. Y'all can still hear me. All right, cool. So looking at the page right here, workonyourgame.live. This is the page right here. If you go to it on your phone, you will see it. So let me tell you the kind of people we had in the event. We got finance, we got corporate, and person works in corporate, and he's an entrepreneur. Person was at one of my last events. Business operators, we got serial entrepreneurs, we got people in e-com, we got people in real estate, people who come from the military background, now run a DoD contracting business. We got couples who are entrepreneurs working business together. We got people who are in personal development. We got people who are in the coaching and speaking industry, people in software and coding, DoD business owner, cosmetic industry, real estate entrepreneur, events management, e-com, people who have their own storefronts. All of these people have been at our events right there. So these are the kind of, so answer your question, M Sims. Hopefully that answers your question. These are the kind of people who come to our events. So that covers a wide range. And we're going to add to that as we get more people coming into our events. So these are the kind of people that we have coming to Work on Your Game Live. Hopefully that answers your question. So the second point here, again, is content helps you master your voice. If you are in the consulting space, you need to master your voice. You have to be able to explain to people what you do, and you got to be able to help them once they get into your world. You have a digital marketing business. Perfect. All right, perfect. And that is, you will meet some people that you'll be able to relate to. And we got people coming to the event that I don't even know right now exactly what it is that they do. But when they get there, I'm going to find out what they do. So we're going to be learning more as we expand our audience. More and more people come in. Was exactly what I'm talking about. The more content you create. So what content becomes is kind of like your sandbox. When you create more content, you get better at articulating your message. So it's practice. All right. So because content's free, so nobody can be mad at you if they don't like your content. They can just not watch it. It's not like they paid for it. You're using it as a way to practice and get better at what you're doing. Third thing, and I'm gonna answer questions too. If there are other questions, I'll answer these on this live. Third reason why you want to be creating more content. Any of you who creates content or thinking about creating content, the right content done in volume helps you own a subject or helps you own an approach. And I gave you an example of this using myself. When I first started creating content, I was creating content before we were calling it content, right? Before we were calling it social media. This is back in '05. I was creating basketball content. I created basketball content for like 10 years. And the thing is, between like 2009 through 2000, and actually before that, like 2008 through maybe 2013, for about a 5-year window, if you went on YouTube and looked up basketball drills, you had no choice but to see me, because it wasn't that many people yet. Everybody wasn't on YouTube yet as far as making videos, but there was a bunch of people looking at it as far as consuming videos. So I dominated the space of basketball drills in that time period. And that allowed me to build a really big audience of a bunch of people who were looking for a specific topic. So when I started selling products around 2009, I didn't even have to run ads. I was selling a lot of products every single day simply because I dominated that space. I owned that topic. If you looked up basketball workouts at that time period, you had to see me because I had created so much content for free that when I started selling stuff, I already had a ready-made audience that was ready to give me money because I had already given them value for so long and didn't charge them a thing for it. This is the same thing that you can do now. That was a little bit different game now because everybody's on the internet and everybody's creating content. You can still dominate a space. All you had to do is, first of all, you got to know your stuff. Make sure you're giving people really valuable and useful material and be consistent. 1, 2, 3. Know your stuff, give people valuable material, and be consistent. This is the biggest challenge, is that third one for a lot of people in business, period, is that a lot of people are just simply inconsistent, especially when it comes to content. Because content is free and you don't get paid for producing content, what happens with a lot of people who are creating content is that they'll create some for a little while and then they'll stop creating content, or they'll do a whole bunch for like 2 weeks and then they'll stop for a month, or they'll be consistent for like 3 months and then they'll stop being consistent because they're not getting anything from it, or they don't have a lot of likes or a lot of followers or a lot of subscribers, or they're not making money from it, so they just stop doing it. A lot of people just have the inability to stay consistent. But guess what? At Work on Your Game Live, I want to tell you exactly what we're going to be going over at that event. You're going to have a clear plan of action. This is the headline right here on the page. I'm reading right off the page. Clear plan of action and a long-term revenue strategy so you can stop overworking yourself and stop doing everything by yourself. 2 days in Miami with me, covering mindset, strategy, accountability, execution, and you're going to be getting the systems as well. So all of that's going to be covered at Work on Your Game Live. It says it right here on the page, so I'm not making that up. All of that's going to be covered right here at Work on Your Game Live in February 3rd and 4th here in Miami. So what questions can I answer for anybody here before I go on? I'm just talking here about this third point, which is, again, as you put more content out, you start to dominate the space. You become the person that people are looking to on that subject. You become what we call the source. That's really what you want. Ideally, you want to be the source on a subject. Like, for example, what's the source on, if you want to buy a book on the internet, what's the source? Everybody knows the answer. The source is Amazon. That's the first place you look. If somebody told you about a book and you wanted to buy it, like I'm in the elevator sometimes, I tell somebody I write books. They say, oh, is your book on Amazon? It's the first question. Is it on Amazon? It is on Amazon because Amazon is the source. That's the place where you look for books. If you don't see, if somebody tells you they got a book and it's not on Amazon, then you think they're lying, right? Because it's not on Amazon. That's the source. If you want to learn something about a phone, a smartphone, what's the place you look? Usually you look to Apple, you look to iPhone, because they dominate that space. So you can be that in your space. It may not be on the same scale, the same magnitude. You can dominate your space the exact same way. But the main thing is you must be consistent. You got to be consistently putting yourself out there, even when you're not getting the results. This is the biggest challenge for a lot of people, is that they can't stay consistent because they're not getting the kind of results that they want in the moment, but you got to stay in the game. That's the biggest thing. You have to stay in the game. That's part of the mindset. And that's why we're going to be covering that at Work on Your Game Live. Again, first thing, mindset, strategy, systems, and the execution right there. So Anwar says you want to become the SME, subject matter expert. Yes. Yeah, I mean, there could be more than one subject matter expert, but you want to dominate the space. On top of being an expert, you want to dominate the space to be the go-to person that when somebody thinks of that subject, they think about you. Or when they think about you, they think of that subject. And you can do this on a micro scale or a macro scale. So anybody can do this in your space. You just want to be doing it for the people who you serve. So these days, I don't talk about one specific thing, but people know if you come into my world that I'm going to be talking, I have a direct approach. I have a no nonsense approach. I get straight to the point. There's no BS. There's no fluff. There's no filler. And I talk about business things. I talk about mindset. I talk about systems and processes. Those are the things that I'm all about. So anybody who wants to create more success, everybody wants to create more success. But if you understand that you're going to need systems, processes, and a strong mindset to do it, I'm your guy. That's my lane. That's the space that I'm in. You ask anybody who's in my world, ask anybody who's been to my events, ask anybody in my coaching programs, ask anybody who's read my books. Those are the things that I'm going to help you with. Now, I can talk about 1,000 things, but if you want to talk about what is my direct lane, it's those things right there, the systems and the mindset. If we just had to narrow it down to just 2 things, the systems and the mindset. And mindset itself can be a system. And for your business, you need systems in order to take yourself to the next level. So if you're already making money in your business and you want to make more money, understand You don't make more money by working harder. Or you don't make more money by getting smarter or being more motivated or any of the stuff that you might hear people talking about. At a certain level, yes, that can work. You're making 30 grand right now. You want to make 60. If you just work harder and get more motivated and get smarter, you could probably get to 60. But if you're already at 100K and you want to make more, you can't just hard work your way. You can't just work 10 times harder. You're probably working pretty hard already. So you're going to need systems to get to that next level. That's what I'm talking about. So question here is, and anybody got a question, go ahead and post in the comments. I'll address a couple questions. I'm going to recap my points and I'll address a couple questions. So what I'm talking about here is the case for why you should make more content in the game if you are already making content and or you are thinking about making content, why you should make more. Number one, content makes you findable and discoverable. So any of you who is not, you don't have an ad budget, you don't have a budget to spend money on ads or spend money on marketing, the next best thing you can do is create content or do collaborations with other people. But usually when you do collaborations, you got to have something to offer. And what can you have to offer is you have an audience. How do you build an audience? Put out content, put out free material that makes people understand that you can help them and you're not charging them a thing for it. They will come into your world. Your audience gets bigger. That gives you more clout, more influence. Now you can reach out to this guy over here and that girl over there and say, well, look at my audience. Look what I'm already doing. Let's work together. They'll be willing to work with you because you're somebody. Get what I'm saying? You're somebody because you have an audience. How'd you get an audience? By putting out free material. So number one, it makes you findable and discoverable, especially for those of you who don't have an ad budget or a marketing budget. This is the next best way to build an audience besides paying for it is to put out free material. You pay with your, call that sweat equity. Number two, content helps you master your voice. You should master your voice. You know exactly what you're saying, how you're saying it, who you're serving, and how you can serve them. People should know that you know what the hell you're talking about and your delivery should be smooth. It gets smoother the more you do it. That's why you got to put out content consistently. So this stuff that I do when I do these lives, I can just go off the top of my head. I can have notes. I can go off the top of my head. You can just throw a question out and I can talk about it. And it comes out smooth, not because I'm some genius. It's because I've been doing this for almost 2 decades, putting out material every single day. So I got really good at explaining the things that are in my head. And this is something that anybody can do. You just got to be consistent about doing the work. Number three, the right content done in volume helps you own helps you own a subject. You want to own a subject to where when somebody thinks about that subject, you are the name or at least one of the names that comes up in the conversation. If somebody brings up topic X, they should be bringing up you. If they're not bringing you up, be more consistent, put more material out. And maybe that's not the right person for you, but you want to carve out exactly who your audience is. You should know who the people are who you're trying to serve. So every time you put material out, you're talking to those people. You're not trying to get everybody in the world to like you. You're trying to get the right people to like you. But this requires you doing the work of knowing exactly who you're serving and how you're serving them. This is work. And this is something that today in my university, in my coaching call, I was talking to a couple members. They work together in business. We were talking about this. Like, we really got it nailed down. Who are you trying to serve? How are you trying to serve them? Like, you might have 1,000 ideas, but you don't need that. You don't need to execute on 1,000 ideas. You only need a few good ideas, but you got to be very clear on who you're serving so that you can target them every single time you put something out. So when I put material out, I know who I'm talking to. I know the kind of people that I want coming to my event. I know the kind of people I want in my programs. I know what kind of people I want listening to my show. And it ain't everybody. And that's okay. You don't need the whole world, folks. You just need the right people. And the right people, you can go deep with the right people instead of trying to go wide with a bunch of random people. So let's see what we got in the comment section. You got a question, go ahead and post in the comments right now. Anwar says, do you have to study the current landscape or competitors thoroughly before you develop your content? No, hell no. The answer to that is hell no. I don't study anybody. I don't study competitors because I'm not worried about what they're doing. Now, let's be clear. It's not that I might not notice what somebody's doing. Like if I see somebody doing something and I think I can use it, I can steal an idea from somebody and implement it into what I'm doing. But I'm not like revamping my whole business model just because I see somebody else doing something that happens to be working for them because I'm not them. And I don't have the same audience that they have. So you should not be copying what another person does. But if somebody else has an idea that you can borrow that's useful, that can fit into your framework, then you can do that. The challenge for many people is that they don't have a framework. They don't have a process. They don't have their own system. So every time you see somebody else doing something, it confuses you because you don't have your own thing to go off of. I got my own thing to go off of. So if I see you doing stuff, I can admire and appreciate what you're doing, but I don't need to change mine just because of what you're doing because I already got my own. But if you don't have your own, it's harder because now you can get confused much more easily. But this is why you do things like invest in coaching and mentoring and going to events and courses and things like that. You invest in these things so that you can get clear on exactly who you are and what you're doing, so that you don't get confused by what everybody else is doing. That's a good question. So the answer is no. You do not need to study what everybody else is doing or study the landscape. It's get clear on what you want to do, who you want to serve, how you want to serve them. Jacoby says, would I say manifestation helps? What do you mean by manifestation? People use that word in a lot of different ways. So you got to tell me what you mean when you use the word manifestation. And I can answer once you tell me what you mean by that. Well, while I'm waiting for that, or if anybody else has a question, go ahead and post it. I'll wait a couple more minutes for a couple more questions. My next event is called Work on Your Game Live. It's taking place February 3rd and 4th, 2023, Miami, Florida. Here's the page. It looks something like this. If you go to it on your phone, it's going to look something like this. You'll see a video there from me. You'll see some pictures from past events, and you're going to see some video from past events. And most importantly, most important thing that takes up most of this page are responses from people who already been to my events. You see all these videos here that I'm scrolling through? These are people who have already been to my events, and here's what they're saying about their experience at my event. I'd rather let them talk, because I could talk all day. I could talk on my own stuff all day. Let them tell you what it is. So you can get your ticket. Again, we got split pay as well. So if you want to split up the payment for the ticket into like a couple payments, you can do that as well. Let you hold on to some cash for the short term. We know we got holidays coming up and all that. So that is, again, February 3rd and 4th, Miami. Question is, am I an entrepreneur or do I work at a company? Well, technically both. Technically, I work for Work on Your Game Incorporated, but that's my company. So I'm an entrepreneur, to answer your question. I'm CEO of my company. It's called Work on Your Game Incorporated. Who's that? NYC asking that question. NYC, it's going to be cold in New York. I'm assuming you're in New York. It's going to be cold there in February. I'm from Philadelphia, so I know what the winter is like. You might as well give yourself an excuse to come to Miami in February and be at Work on Your Game Live. That's like the coldest part of the year is February. So you might as well come to Miami. Oh, you're in Ghana. All right. I don't know what the weather is like in Ghana. But anyway, you want an excuse to come to Miami in February, come here anyway. All right, even from Ghana. All right, get yourself a ticket, all your travel, all your expenses. Actually, I don't know what the tax code is like in Africa, in Ghana, but you might be able to write it off on your taxes anyway. It's a business expense. All right, so ask your accountant. But come here to Miami, February 3rd and 4th for Work on Your Game Live. You got enough time to plan it. Dance in Spirit, appreciate you. Get your ticket to Work on Your Game Live. All right, my game is really tight, then that I want to see your name on the list of people who are coming to Work on Your Game Live. My game's as tight as you say it is. All right, that's the real proof that my game is tight, that you're at Work on Your Game Live. All right, question is, what role does mindset play in content creation? Well, all these three things that I just talked about is three things that I just said is number one, making yourself findable and discoverable. Number two, mastering your voice. And number three, helping you own a space. The mindset is what leads to the actions. All right, the order of operations for achieving anything in life is be, do, and have. So being is the thinking, doing is the action, and having is the result. Being is the thinking, doing is the action, having is the result. In that order. Challenge for a lot of people is that they go straight into the action without really thinking about what their mindset needs to be first. So the mindset is the first thing. That's the starting point, is the mentality. Napoleon Hill said in Think and Grow Rich, first, the starting point of achievement is having a burning desire, is the mentality. So you get your thoughts right first, then you do stuff, then you get the result. So to answer your question, it plays a pivotal role. It's the foundation. Mindset is the foundation of all success, the foundation of all failure. Every successful person you know, the main reason they're successful is because of the way they think. The way they think leads to the things they do, and the things they do lead to the actions, the outcomes, the success. Anybody you know who's a failure, the main reason they're a failure is because of the way they think. So all failures, all successes is based on mentality. Dance in Spirit said, I'm across the world. All right, that's fine. We got planes. All right, where you live? All right, no, I don't know of anybody who lives in a place that doesn't have a plane. All right, so they got planes where you live. Wherever you live, Dance in Spirit, where are you at? What's your geographical location? I guarantee you they got planes there. I'm going to look up flights. Tell me where you live. I'm going to look up a flight from where you are to Miami. So we're going to solve that problem right now. Being across the world it ain't stopping us now. It might have stopped us, back in the caveman days when we didn't have planes, but we got planes these days. So tell me where you at. We're going to look up flights just for you, to get to Miami. So I'm going to put Miami in here, and I'm going to wait for you to tell me your location. We're going to put it in. So let's see. M. Sim says, I'm from right outside of Philly. So February in Miami sounds amazing. Where outside of Philly you at, M. Sims? I'm actually from Philadelphia. I'm from Mount Airy. I've been in Miami since 2008. So I'm going on 15, 2008? Yeah, 2008. So I'm going on 15 years. So I ain't lived in Philly in a long time, but I go to Philly every year. I was in Philly just this, what month was that? Was it May? I was in Philly in May. Westchester, yeah, shout out to Westchester. I used to work with a guy who went to school there. So you would fly out of Philadelphia. So, well, that's easy for you. Actually, I was looking for, I'm typing in Philadelphia, but I was actually waiting for Dancing Spirit. Dancing Spirit, you ain't say where you at. You said, am I paying? No, your government will pay. Your government will reimburse you. It's a business expense. All right, just in your taxes, write it off as a business expense. Ask your accountant; they'll tell you. They'll help you out. This is a business expense. I don't know what country you're in, so you had to tell me what country you're in. But in America, when you go to business events like conferences, or you invest in any kind of education or professional development, especially when you're a business owner, you can write that off on your taxes as a business expense. And generally, for the most part, you don't pay for that. Or basically, they count it against whatever you owe in taxes, so you get it back. Long story short. In America, business people notice. Now, again, I don't know what the tax laws are in every country, but in America, that's how it is. So anybody in America thinking about coming to this event, this is a tax write-off. It'd be a write-off for next year's taxes, not the ones you're about to file in early 2023 for the year after that. All right, you just write this off on your taxes. Again, ask your accountant about this. Don't take this as tax advice. I'm not an accountant, but all y'all get it. You're in India. What city? I don't know. We're in India. I need a city. So let's just say New Delhi. So we'll go New Delhi Airport. New Delhi Airport, and you will come in here February, let's say February 2nd. Let's say February 1st. You might want to come early since you're coming from out of the country. You might want to enjoy the United States for a little while. A one-way ticket. Let's see. One-way ticket, $677 from New Delhi to Fort Lauderdale, February 1st. There you go, right there. You can get here February 1st, $677. They're looking for lower prices, but that's actually a pretty good price as far as I'm concerned. And let's say you stay for a week, February 1st to February 8th. Look you up a round-trip ticket. Let's see. is finding me the best prices right now. Lufthansa, $1,150 for a round trip. That's actually a pretty good price. From India to United States and back, $1,150. That's a pretty good price. All right, so there you go, Dancing Spirit. Now I just found you a ticket. So now you go on. I'm using the app called kayak.com. You can put a little notification on there, and they'll let you know when the prices get lower or higher. And there you go. You can spend a whole week in Miami. All your hotel, all your Ubers, all your food, your ticket, your flight, all that stuff. You can write it off on your tax. Consult your accountant first, though. Don't take my word for that. All right, so I don't see any other questions here. So everybody, this is what you can do to make more content. So any of you who's already creating content or thinking about it, that's what you should do to get your content game up. This will help you build your business, help you build your audience, get more people to know you, get yourself more out there. And again, especially if you're not running ads and things like that, this is a great way to start building your audience. And if you are running ads, you should also still have content, because once people click on your stuff and come look at you, they still want to see what you're doing, right? They still want to see what are you doing consistently to show that you're in the game. That's what content does for you. So all you should be in the content game if you are on the internet trying to get yourself known. So you haven't gotten your ticket yet for Work on Your Game Live. That is the URL right there, workonyourgame.live. That's where you get your ticket to my event. If I can answer any questions about the event, just send me a text at my number. Let me put my text number in here so all y'all got it. My text, I send out a daily motivation every morning anyway. So if you want to get text from me, you can text me at that number, 305-384-6894. And that event, again, February 3rd and 4th, 2023, Miami. All right. Everybody, have a great afternoon. I got some work to do. I got some stuff that I need to record. And we just continue working. We continue building our business, putting value out there in the game and getting value back out. All y'all have a great afternoon. Work on your game. Out of here.